Thanks for joining us online today. If you've been impacted by this ministry and have a story to share of how God is working in your life, we would love to hear it. Send an email to amen@anchorpoint.tv. Also, you can help bring messages just like this one to others who need to hear the hope and the love of Jesus by investing today at anchorpoint.tv/give. Now, we hope you enjoy today's message.
But we love to stop every now and then and just have a pause where we celebrate all that God has done and we look forward to all that God is doing. And reality above and beyond is our future strategy that began 18 months ago in May 2018. Well, we decided to move toward our future. And on a physical level, that's talking about a building. It's talking about property. And you look around and you see a room like this, and it's full, and we got extra chairs out. And the reality is it's like this at most all 4 of our services. And when you think, man, I go to a small church, you're only in the room with 25% of your church family. So we know that God has more in store for us, and we want to reach more people with the life-giving message of Jesus. We want to see them anchor their lives to Jesus Christ. And so that's kind of the physical element that we've been talking about for 18 months. On a spiritual level, though, it's really about believing God for big things. It's really about expanding our expectation. And my prayer has been through this series is that we as a church body and you as a member, as an attender would say, hey, man, you see God move on our behalf as a church, that would stir your faith that He can move on behalf of your family. In fact, let me just ask this question before we dive in. How many of you got something in your life or your family that you need God to do? Will you stretch out? Yeah, that you need God to move on. Yeah, most of us in the room. The ones that are not raising your hand, Jesus, we're glad you're here. But the rest of us need a little help. And I want to stir your faith to keep believing, to keep trusting, to keep hoping that the impossible is possible with God. And I want that, but I think sometimes, because I'm a faith preacher, man, I think sometimes it's a little misleading. It's a little open-ended because I've learned there's like a miracle moment and then there's like this working out process of the miracle. Like I've learned that things can happen in a moment, but then it takes time for it all to come to fruition. Anybody know what I'm talking about? You know, yeah, I remember when I was a youth pastor, I remember I was about 22 and we were ministering to at-risk kids outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. And man, y'all think I'm wild now. I'm 40. You should have saw me at 22. I was like a Tasmanian devil with a microphone. You know, and I'm up there preaching, and I'm preaching to a very diverse group. My skin color was the minority in the group that I was preaching at. It's about 800 kids in attendance, and we had African Americans and Hispanics and white people, and it was really just an amazing thing that God was doing. And I was up there and I was preaching and I was trying to get kids saved. And I remember one Wednesday night I had an altar call, and usually when I have an altar call, there's like man, it floods, but for some reason I was praying that altar call, and there's only like 3 kids moved, and this one guy he rode the bus that I eventually ended up driving. He rode my bus, so I knew who he was, and he's about 6'4", about 235. He walks down the center of the aisle, both hands in his pocket, and y'all, he looked mad. He didn't look like he was there to surrender to the Lord. He started mean mugging me. He like, so I mean mugged him back. I was like, all right, we about to do this, all right. I thought this would be an amazing way for a preacher to go out. Like, if I'm dead right here, how awesome is it? Preaching the gospel, you pastor murdered. How awesome. It's going to be amazing. So he's staring at me, and I'm staring at him, and I'm telling you, underneath my breath, I'm rebuking in the name of Jesus. You know, and I'm like, man, and he's just standing there, he's just staring at me. And I'm like, is there anybody else that needs to give their life to Christ? And I see a tear right in the corner. And I'm still wondering about his hands in his pockets, though. Because I want to be like, get your hands out your pockets, you know? And he does. He pulls his hands out of his pockets. And there's drug paraphernalia and a gang bandana and I think a knife. And he throws them on the floor. Tears streaming down his face. And he looks at me and he says, I surrender. Y'all walked off stage. Oh man, it was better. I was in my office before we got the kids on the bus. I was like, take that, devil, take that. Yeah, baby, we saving the city, man. I was fired up. I walk outside to the bus that he rides, and there he is in a fight. I'm like, hey, I was like, you just said I surrendered to the Lord. He said, yeah, but he talked about my mama. I'll get on the bus. I'm going to tell your mama what happened. You know, no, Pastor Todd, don't tell my mama. Hey, I'm talking about 8 foot. I mean, you know how it is. It's a fish story. He gets bigger every year. You know, he 8 foot, 400 pounds. He's like, don't tell my mama, don't tell my mama. And I learned that day that something can happen in a moment that takes a little bit of time to work out. Come on and say amen. I've learned that there's such thing as called a wedding day, and you can get married in a moment, but it takes a lifetime to build a marriage. Come on, somebody. I've learned you can have a child in a day, but it takes a lifetime to raise that child. Come on and say amen. And so here's that's the dichotomy. We can have an above and beyond moment. We can commit ourselves 18 months ago, but it takes time to walk that out. So if you're a note taker, and all good Christians are, and people go to heaven, you can jot down my title. And my title today is Last Set, Best Set. Last Set, Best Set. If you don't know what that means, then you can use my theologically correct title. My theological title is Finish Strong. Finish Strong. Last set, best set. Last set, best set is the phrase that my workout partner uses to encourage me and challenge me that it's almost over. And a good trainer will encourage you and challenge you. A good pastor will encourage you and challenge you. A good leader will encourage you, and a good manager, a good boss will encourage you and challenge you. And when I hear that phrase, last set, it encourages me that the end is in sight. I'm like, thank you, Jesus, the end is in sight. But it also challenges me to not hold anything back because the end is in sight. See, before I ever had worked out with someone, before I had someone to encourage me and challenge me, I rarely pushed myself to my limits or beyond them. And when you rarely push yourself beyond your capability or your limits that you think you have, you rarely see significant results. And that's just not in physical things, it's in spiritual things. In fact, some of the reasons some of us really struggle in our faith, like, why don't I have faith like that? And why isn't my faith as strong as their faith? Because we rarely push ourselves to our full capacity. It is only when you push yourself to your full capacity that you start to see the results that you're really looking for in your spiritual life. So my goal today, make no doubt about it, is to push you to your capacity and beyond. Because I found out that when we look at this, that when you cease to hold something back, when you cease to hold anything back, you'll be amazed at the outcome. When you say, God, you can have all of me, and quit putting up boundaries where God's not allowed, you'll be amazed at the outcome. When you give 100% of your devotion, your time, your energy, your effort, you'll be amazed at the outcome. You'll be amazed. And I was at a conference last month, and I can't get this phrase out of my head. It's our key thought if you want to jot it down. I can't get it out of my head. It's this. It's when we do what we can, God will do what we cannot. When we do what we can, God will do what we cannot. And I've found that many times our attention is focused on our limitation rather than our resources. In fact, by default, a lot of times when we feel like God has asked us to do something, or we even have a thought that, hey, I want to attempt this, I want to try this, there's that negative voice in your head. Come on, some of y'all got negative Nancy that lives in your head, negative Nathan, and every time you want to, oh, you can't do that, oh, you can't fix that, oh, you can't start that, oh, you can't build that, you can't. It's almost like our default. But I found out that God's expectation of us has nothing to do with what we can't do. God's expectation of us is all about what we can do. In fact, here's what I know about everybody in the room. If God called you, you're capable. Like, you're capable. So some of you are wondering with your children, like, did God pick the right parents? You're like, dear Jesus. Yes, he gave you that child on purpose. He gave you that child, that daughter on purpose, that son on purpose. If he gave them to you, you're capable to parent them the way he wants you to. If God gave you the ministry idea, you're capable. If God gave you the business idea, you're capable. If God called you to it, you're capable to do it. You're capable. You're capable. When we do what we can. Because when we do what we can, God will do what we cannot. And we have been experiencing that for 18 months. We have been seeing God do what we cannot do. In fact, just bear with me for a few moments, and then trust me, I'll get everybody in, and we'll be out on time. It'll be awesome. But like, God has, in the calendar year, in less than 10 months of 2019, this church in this little room on the north side of Foley have saw 178 people either give their lives to Christ for the first time or rededicate their life to Jesus. 178 people. You better get your hands warmed up if this is your home church, because I appreciate the golf clap, but we're talking about eternities. Can I tell you that in the calendar year of 2019, we saw 65 people go public with baptism, 65 people declaring this is my anchor point. And that's not even talking about the marriages that have been restored, the benevolence that's been given, the mission trips that have been taken, the food that has been delivered. That's not even looking at those things. It's about people finding purpose beyond the ordinary. In 2019, we saw 132 people graduate the growth plan and say, I want to anchor to my life to this church and see God do above and beyond through me. It's amazing. And then I think back to 2018, May 2018, May 2019, and we made some commitments to a capital strategy. And in fact, if we can throw that slide up, we made $954,000 worth of commitments. We committed just shy of $1 million. And I'm happy to report to you that as of Thursday, when I did this sermon, as of Thursday, we have received $677,000, $467.76. Yeah, we got it all. And that's amazing, because most people would tell you a lot of capital campaigns never see more than 60 or 65%, but we are 70% through the campaign, and we are 71% of the funds that have been given, and that is above and beyond. In fact, I'm ecstatic, because what I thought wouldn't happen has happened, because people tell you December 1st will be the fourth quarter if you're a football guy, or like December 1st. So we are on pace to enter the fourth quarter in the lead. Amen. And I really thought, and most pastors said, hey, you need to filter your expectations of going into the last 6 months. Your church is tired and it won't come through. Literally I had multiple pastors tell me that. And I was like, pray and just believe in God, and God has showed up above and beyond. That's the good news. Let me give you a little bit of detailed news when it comes to this, because every gift that you gave matters. Every gift, that sacrifice that you made. But we want to finish strong. We want our last set to be our best set. Show them my next slide. So if you made a commitment, this is not for you, but if you made a pledge, you're somewhere on this chart. In fact, 10% of the people who made a pledge have completed the pledge. You've given 100% of the money. It's already in. A lot of you paid it off. It's great. We got 18% that's tracking. That means you've given more than 65% of your commitment. You're doing good. We got 19% that's trailing. You're not that far behind, but you're kind of in this little worrisome zone, 40 to 65%. You're still there, but you're there. But then there's this next category that's troubling, is we have 40% of the funds that are less than 40% given, and you're what we call the watch category. And then we have 12% that have never started, like you made a pledge and you never gave. And here's the deal. Not mad at anybody. In fact, most campaigns are about 20% that never start. So we're doing great. And if you need to adjust your campaign pledge, just let us know. Because the bank doesn't take pledges. So here's what I want you to do. The reason I tell you this is because I want you to ask yourself, where are we? If you're married, say, where are we? Just this week, hey, where are we on this? If you're single and you made the commitment, where am I at? Where do I fall in this chart? Because here's what I want. I want us to make our last 6 months the best 6 months. I want to be able to come to this. I want to be able to come to this and say, you know what, 100%. I want to be able to come and say 105% came out. I want to be able. I want to make sure we finish in a position of strength. And so here's what I need you to know. I want you to do what you can. That's all I want you to do. All I'm asking you is to ask God, what can we do to make sure that we finish in the best position possible? Because we want to enter our new facility in a position of strength. In fact, later in this, we have a new series starting next week called Uncommon. And I want to tell you a little bit more about the story of that. But most of you know, in the middle of this, we did what we could and God did what we cannot. And we got a gift from a local church. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a couple of weeks, of 40 acres of property and a building that is debt-free. And so we think we think God has called us to more, and we don't want to go leverage a bunch of debt to have to do the renovations that need to be done. So we need to finish strong because we think God has given us the resources to influence this community in a way that hasn't been done before. Not that we're better than anybody, but he's just chosen to put his favor and his anointing on this place, and I want you to be a part so that when we move into that facility on 40 acres, in fact, the building's there is about 12,000 square feet. We got to do about an 8,000 square foot renovation. In fact, I was wondering, you want to see it? I mean, like, all right, that's like, how you doing? Like, do you want to see your future home? Go ahead and show them. There's the future home of Anchor Point Church. Man, I got me a laser too. Look at this right here. We got fancy. Facebook, I'm sorry. If you're watching online, man, I'll try to be better next week. Anyway, I want to show you, like right back here, this building doesn't exist at all. This is our brand new Anchor Point Kids edition, all kids ministry. If you have a kid in kids ministry, you should be clapping. If you serve in kids ministry, you should be clapping because our kids' rooms, our kids' space is doubling in square footage. So we're going to be able to do that. On the back of this wall right here, this is a kitchen. Did y'all hear that? This will be open area, coffee shop, and lobby. This is the building that currently exists. So all of this will be auditorium and bathrooms, and then we're building kind of a concourse walkway to make sure that we can move throughout the building. Go ahead and flip through that next one, show you a few more things that are coming. Look at all that parking. Good. Hey, look. Hey, it just rained. Look how wet the pond concrete. It just rained. So this is an accurate representation of Foley, Alabama in the summertime, right there. Showing the next one. I hope the parking lot's fuller than that. But anyway, showing the next one. Look at all that parking. You ain't never seen a preacher shout about paid parking. Paid parking right there. And show them that last one. Look at that, man. Yeah. Can't wait. Can't wait to get there. It's going to be amazing. But we can't wait to get there to do what we can. I can't wait to get there, but we can't wait to get there. We can't wait to get there to say, God, you can have all of me. We can't wait till we get there to say, God, I want to be a part of what you're doing. So here's what I want to do. I want to spend the last few minutes of my time together on the topic of finishing strong, on the topic of last set, best set. Because I begin to understand when I look at culture, I think sometimes we live in a culture of quitting. So the rest of this sermon is going to appeal to everybody, whether you're a guest or whether you've been here for the beginning. Because I begin to ask myself, what does it look like to finish strong? What ingredients are needed to complete and accomplish a goal? And I don't know if that's for you in your business or for you in your family or for you in your finances or for you in relation to this to church. But I want to give you three things, three ingredients I think you need. The first word I want you to jot down, I'm just going to talk about it in terms. Write down the word motivation. Write down the word motivation. Because I think to really finish strong, you got to have the proper motivation. Because every action is a result of an internal or external motivation. Like I'm motivated right now. I'm motivated to play Christmas music right now. I'm motivated on November 3rd. I'm motivated. And let me tell you, don't disrupt my service. I will have security escort you out. Don't make me check my ID. I'm still the pastor. Anyway, that's a joke, people. I said, oh, okay, believe you did that. I'm motivated. Listen to me, all you Thanksgiving people. We're not attacking you. We just love Christmas. Get over it. Jesus was born. I celebrate Christmas all year round, all 12 months in Jesus' name. Hallelujah. Motivated. Have you ever asked your kids something like this? Why did you do that? You ever ask them that? And they look at you like a deer in headlights? Like somebody at Walmart at 3 a.m.? And they say these three words, I don't know. Carter does that all the time. I've quit asking why do you do that, and I'll start asking him this question. What led you to that action? What's the motivation? Because sometimes he'll say, well, Dad, I was just trying to be funny, because that's what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get to the root of it. He'll say, well, Dad, I did it because the other kids were doing it. I'm trying to get to the motivation. And you can have selfish motivations and healthy motivations, and sometimes you can be motivated by your wants, and sometimes you can be motivated by fear. You can be motivated by your faith. You can be motivated by your doubt. We all have motivations. In Psalm 39, King David is toward the end of his life, and he's kind of analyzing that and thinking about it, and he writes some words that I think sum up his motivation. Here's what it says in Psalm 39, verse number 4. He said, Lord, remind me how what? Say with me, remind me how brief my time on earth will be. Remind me how brief this moment is. Remind me that my days are numbered. How fleeting is my life. God, you have made my life no longer than the width of my hand. My entire lifetime is what? It's just a what? A moment. Some things is a moment, and some things it's just a moment to you. At best, each of us is but a breath. And if you ask me, what drives me as a pastor, if you ask me why I get so loud, if you ask me why I'm so intense, I would tell you that I'm driven by the fact that my time is limited and people matter to God. That's why I can't come in here and sit on a stool and just go through another Sunday and pretend like this doesn't matter, because I believe that it really does matter. I believe that your life really does matter. I believe that your family really does matter. I believe He's got a purpose for you, a plan for you, and I don't want you to waste what God's given you. It eats me up on the inside. See, I have a limited amount of time to make an eternal impact, and that's my motivation. I'm not motivated to build buildings. I'm not. Bigger buildings just mean more complications. I'm not motivated to build buildings. I'm motivated to build the kingdom. Amen. See, that's my motivation, because there's more at stake than arriving safely at death. There's more at stake than just living life and living for the weekend. In fact, if you're here today and you're disconnected from God, I'm telling you, there's more than living for Friday night. There's a greater feeling. There's a greater significance that you can have when you're motivated in the right direction. That the reason I am the way I am is I believe life and death hang in the balance. I'm motivated. I'm motivated. I'm motivated to overcrowd heaven and bankrupt hell. I'm motivated. I can't pretend that I'm not. I'm motivated to do all I can while I can, because I believe that every person we come in contact with is an eternal being. Every person that sits in a Sunday morning service, you're eternal. You'll live for eternity somewhere, whether you believe in God or not, whether you're agnostic or not, whether you're atheist or not. This is the perfect church for people who aren't, and I believe it for you. I'm motivated. I'm motivated for God to open doors. I'm motivated because the people who live in your house, the son or daughter that didn't come to church with you this morning, is eternal being. The husband or wife that wouldn't show up with you today, they're eternal. The coworker that you can't stand is eternal. And so that drives everything they are. So I know that they would have a better life. I know that you would have a better life if it was connected to Christ. If you could just meet the man from Galilee, everything would change and you could have a full, significant life. If there's anybody in this room that's met the man from Galilee that would say, he changed me, he transformed me, he washed me clean. See, church is not a place for perfect people. Church is a place for forgiven people. And forgiven people just can't be quiet. I'm excited, if you can't tell. See, surface level motivations will not sustain you. You got to have something deeper than that to motivate you, because you got to have something deep to motivate you, because when you want to quit, you got to have something that'll carry you. And if you hadn't wanted to quit lately, you hadn't went through anything. Because sometimes I want to quit, but I can't. Because there's something deeper on the inside of me that is moving me. And David says this, I need to be reminded, and I want to remind you. I want to remind you because there's more for life than maybe you're currently living for. I want to remind you that the days are long, but the years are short. I want to remind you. I want to remind you because I think we're Netflixing our life away. We're scrolling our life away. We're complaining our life away. We're worrying our life away. And I just came to remind you I'm motivated to take my limited amount of time and live a life that outlasts me. That's what I'm motivated about. Because when I die, I don't want my impact to go with me. I want to leave a legacy. Anybody want to leave a legacy for your children? Let me tell you something. You cannot leave what you will not live. There's got to be something deeper that motivates you to live now what you want to leave then. Motivated. Second thing is this. I know I've taken a little bit of time, but I really wanted you to get this. Write down the word participation. Because you can't have the last set, best set. You can't finish strong without participation. The thing I want every person in this room to know, your part matters. No matter how big or how small, your part matters. I jotted that down in my notes this week, and I've been telling myself that my part matters. Come on, say that with me. 1, 2, 3. My part matters. Just feel good to say that. Well, you only serve a little bit. My part matters. You only give a little bit. My part matters. You only show up a little bit. My part matters. It matters. I want to tell somebody, hey, when you usher, it matters. When you do the parking lot, it matters. When you take care of our snot-nosed kids, mine, it matters. Everybody say that. My part matters. My part matters. I want you to get that my part matters. You got to think about this. In all of human history, at any point in time, God could have deposited you on the earth. He chose now. Like if you got self-esteem issues, you need to listen. Like you weren't born 50 years from now and you weren't born 50 or 100 years ago. God put you on the earth right now. God thought within himself, you know what? I need Emily on the earth now. I need Sean on the earth now. You know why he needs you on the earth now? Because he sent you with an assignment from heaven. There's more to live for than what you're looking at. And if you want above and beyond in your life, just like we want it in this church, it takes participation. In fact, look at our above and beyond verse, Ephesians 3:20. Now to him who is able to do above and beyond all that we ask or think, according to the power that what? That works in us. So notice that God's power works in you. All right, stick with me. Let's dive a little deep theology, okay? Teach a little bit. God's power on the inside of you will eventually show up on the outside. Okay? All right. All right. Maybe. All right. No, God's power in you will come out. It's like people who do CrossFit. We know because you post every day. All right. Like it just comes out of you. Like, it's like all right. Let me try a different one. All right. God's power in you is kind of like people who diet. It doesn't count if you don't share it with people. Hashtag keto, bro. Hashtag, right? We get it. We did that. We did that like 15 years ago. It's called Atkins. Come on, somebody. Come on. Yeah, that didn't work either. Let me try one more. God's power in you is kind of like being a football fan. It just comes out of you. Like, for some reason, like LSU fans are like, oh, got one right over here. God can set you free from that. I mean, it hadn't beat Bama in 8 years. I mean, I would keep quiet till we did something. I would just be quiet till we did something. So, Auburn, I'm just going to leave y'all alone because y'all have had enough hurt this season. It just comes out. It just comes out. And so God works in you so he can work through you. And that's individually and corporately. So there's a couple things at the end of every year I motivate our church to do or ask our church to do. And I'm usually not this forceful. If you're a guest, you can come back next week and the preaching will probably be a little better. But I'm going to be forceful on this. I need you that if this is your home church, if you are a member, you get spiritually fed at this church, I need you to do 3 things over the next 8 weeks. Throw them up there. 3 things over the next 8 weeks. Here's what I need. I need everybody in this room to serve somebody. In the next 8 weeks, I need you to serve somebody. And here's what I want you to know. It doesn't have to be through our church. Like, you can serve people all on your own. And it still counts. Now, we have 2 corporate opportunities. If you want to serve, we'll tell you about them at the end. One is turkey takeout. You want to serve during Thanksgiving? We have opportunities available. You need to sign up for it. You can bring your kids and serve. We're starting a brand new Christmas assistant program for families in need called Jesus Cares. We're partnering with Toys for Tots. And so this year, you're going to be able to, you see restaurants with angel tree. We're going to have Jesus tree, okay? And you're going to be able to take a child and go buy a gift for them and bring it back. And then we're going to take a week, and we're going to set up this auditorium like a store so that families in need, they can come in, they can shop like you shop, and they don't have to worry about that. They don't bring their kids with them. In fact, they get to keep their dignity, and we just get to bless them and let them have a Merry Christmas. Isn't that a good thing? We're going to do that. So I need you to serve. But you can serve your neighbor. I can anoint you right now to serve your neighbor. Can I do that? Yeah, you're anointed a minister as of right now in Jesus' name, right there, Holy Spit, right on you. And if you got an elderly neighbor that's struggling to put up them Christmas lights, take your ladder and walk across the street. If somebody's sitting at home on Christmas, pick up the phone or stand over the fence and say, "Hey, come to." Hey, I'm praying that people all around town. If we got 4 services packed out like this, I'm praying for people to start saying, "That's mine." I want you to get some of those commitment cards, or some of those invite cards, and just, you know what? Just start praying. God, show me. God, show me. You're gonna be in Walmart. You're gonna see somebody counting out change. You're gonna be like, come on, I got that. Put that on mine. And you ain't gonna post about it because that ain't your motivation. We're not posting. We're not motivated by a selfie. We're motivated to serve. I'm gonna. Oh no. I'm gonna get their coffee. You know what? I'm gonna get their coffee. I'm going to get their groceries. You know what? I'm going to pay for that person. Just say, "God, show me. Just show me. Show me who it is." And just do it one time. I'm telling you right now, you'll get more of a thrill than you ever thought you could by serving other people. I need everybody to bring somebody. The month of December, I need you to bring somebody. We do our most attended and highlight series of the year starting December the 1st. Christmas at the Movies is back. Christmas, yeah. And if you're new, if you're a guest, hey, we take a break from our normal order of service. In fact, we're going this week to record all these. We pre-record segments and intertwine blockbuster movies. And this year, we're actually expanding beyond Christmas movies. So we got some cool ones for you. We got an 80s classic. It's going to be awesome. And we give you popcorn and we give you Coke. And it's just a great, easy way to invite someone who wouldn't normally show up at church and say, "Hey, come this week," because he won't be screaming and yelling this week. He'll be on the screen and we'll watch a movie and at least you get popcorn. And here, notice, I'm not asking you to invite somebody. I'm asking you to kidnap somebody. Bring them. They don't get an option. This is not a discussion. You bribe them, lie to them, kidnap them. You get them here during the month of December, and I promise you, we'll present the gospel in a compelling way. And every Sunday in December, we're going to give people an opportunity to respond to the gospel. Bring somebody. Hey, Christmas Eve, we got 6 services. 6 services. Your boy's going to be tired. But the second most attended church day in all the calendar year is Christmas Eve. I need you to get them here. Bring somebody. Last one. I need you to give something. I need you to give something. And here's not the pitch. If you don't give, the kids aren't going to get the inflatables. No, we got that covered. If you don't give, we're going to take away the juice and the cheese crackers. We did that because of allergies, not because of money, okay? I need you to give because it connects your heart to this house. So on December the 8th, we're taking our annual Christmas offering. First $10,000 goes to Ecuador to sow our seed trip for our mission trip. Rest of that goes to our Above and Beyond campaign. And I'm asking you, begin to ask God what he would have you do. I don't care how much. I care that you participate. Some of you, God's going to put a number on your heart that scares you half to death. Trust him. December 8th. And the reason I'm telling you, I'm giving you 6 weeks. 6 weeks. Because I'm not doing the whole show a sad video. I'm not doing that. I'm telling you it's coming. God will speak to your heart if you ask him and participate. And all I'm asking is for you to do what you can. Because alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. And here's what I know. I can do my part. I can't do everything, but I can do my part. I can't do everything, but I can't not do anything. I can do my part. Last one is this, number 3. Number 3. Write down the word decision. Write down the word decision. I want you to be motivated to participate because you decided. You decide. That's why all this is futuristic. I don't want to manipulate you into doing something today. That's why you can't do anything to respond to this message today. You got to go home and say, hey, what do I need to do to rearrange my life and my priorities to be a part of what God is doing? You decide. It's time to invest. You decide it's time to go all in. You decide, because I learned long ago we make our decisions and our decisions make us. Here's what Paul says in 2 Corinthians 9, verse 7. Each of you should give what you have, say it with me, decided in your where? In your heart to give. Not reluctantly or under compulsion. For God loves a cheerful giver. Paul says, you decide. You decide to invest in the kingdom. And watch him throw in the windows of heaven and pour out blessing. You wouldn't have any. You decide. You decide now's the time for us to serve. Now's the time for us to give. Now's the time. You decide. And notice he ties it to your heart. Because what is in your heart to do, you'll find a way. And if it's not in your heart, you'll find an excuse. Oh, if it's in your heart, you're going to find the time. That's why you'll wake up at 3 a.m. That's why you'll stay up all night. That's why you'll invest the money in the gear, the hobby, the thing, the sale. If it's in your heart, you'll find the money, you'll find the time, you'll find the energy. But if it is not in your heart, you'll find an excuse. So I'm asking everybody to ask yourself this question. What can I do to be a part of what God is doing? Through that question up there. If you're online, I'm asking you. You don't get out of this because it's online. If this is your church home, I'm asking you to ask yourself this question. What can I do to be a part of what God is doing? And that's all I'll ask. Not that you compare yourself to somebody else or somebody else to you. I'm asking you, just you, your family, to sometime this week, this month, say, hey, what can we do to bring somebody? What can we do to give something? What can we do to serve some? What can we do? What can I do to be a part of what God is doing? Because I figured out the more you decide, the less you debate. I'm telling you right now, when you decide my family's going to be in the house of God, come hell or high water, you don't have to debate what you're doing on Sunday morning. You've already decided. Some of us in this room, we need to decide and move on. And playing wishy-washy too. No, just decide and move on. Some of you students, some of you young adults, some of you people who are single, just decide I'm not having sex outside of marriage. I don't care what some hairy-legged boy says to me, oh, you pretty. Nah, I've already decided that my body is the temple of the Lord, and I'm His, and He's going to bless me more than I could ever dream when I wait. Decide and move on. Just set the tithe on auto draft and move on. Good Lord. Quit debating about what you're going to. Just decide and move on. Decide you're going to surrender everything you have. Decide, God, I'm doing away with the boundaries. God, if you want to affect my relationships, if you want to speak to my mind, if you want to speak to my heart, I'm deciding and moving on. Decide that you're going to worship Him with hands lifted high. Decide that you know what? In the storm, I'm worshiping. In the valley, I'm worshiping. In the valley, I'm worshiping. Decide and move on. I'm decided. Jump up on your feet. Decide you're not backing down from the enemy anymore. Decide that everything you have is all that God needs. Decide. Everybody say decide. Decide. Because I'm telling you, when you decide, darkness will start trembling. When you decide, the enemy will start to flee. When you decide, it puts the devil on notice. You can't have my mind. You can't have my family. You can't have it. I'm taking it back. I'm going to see a victory. I'm taking a fight to the enemy. Come on, let's begin to declare. Every hand lifted.